all of those things cross over and go every direction. You get a pain or a signal, it goes into the spinal cord, boom, up the spinal cord, into the brain, and the brain has to interpret. So let's go over. In fact, look at this here. It kind of gives you an idea. Visceral are the organs. You see all that on the left of the screen? And then somatic is the muscle and the joints and the skin and all that kind of stuff. So there's two different ideas of where pain can come from. Has anybody had stomach pain in this group?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Has anybody had, nobody's had heart pain in here, hopefully. But the idea behind it, right? Those things are real. And so when you have that kind of pain, they actually exist. The problem is sometimes we don't really feel the pain that we're feeling, and it could be related to something else. And that's where we're going to start talking about those organs affecting the muscle. So let's move to the next page here. Travis, I'm going to let you lead us with a little bit
All
there.
right. Yeah.
Go with it.
So kind of like we were just talking about, not all pain is structural. I mean, being in a chiropractic office, a lot of people come in. Some people obviously have a trauma, fall, something like that, where, yes, that is usually structural. But if they just wake up in the morning or after you eat something, you notice pain in the shoulder blade or things like that, it's typically not coming from something structural. And a lot of times that pain is actually driven by stress on internal organs. So, and that's what we call visceral somatic pain. So this is where, as we go to the next slide, why is it kind of so hard for us to differentiate between the skeletal or musculoskeletal pain and this internal organ pain? And that's because, as we kind of get into it, the visceral organs don't have as many pain receptors as, let's say, like a muscle or skin or bone. So that kind of information has to kind of blend together in a somatic pathway, because the somatic pathway has a lot of different receptors that send immediate information kind of the brain. So this is where the visceral pain or inflammation or whatever we're kind of feel like going on in the body, that kind of maps out on top of the somatic pathway once it reaches the spinal cord and then gets sent to the brain. And this is where the brain now interprets that pain as muscle pain or fascial pain or skeletal pain or something like that, instead of where it's actually coming from.
Wow. I mean, that's a great slide because it really gives you a great understanding of what you're talking about with that. I mean, it's really awesome. And I like this the little diagram too down here below. Like you can see how it's got to get somewhere to get up there. Remember, it's a two-way street anyway. Mm-hmm. Whatever's going on in your stomach and digestive system has to get to the brain, tell the brain, hey, here's what we're eating. Brain sends the signal back down, says, hey, here's what we're going to do with it. And then everything just kind of keeps working its way. And those cellular responses inside there are also going, all right, how do I use this nutrients, or what do I do to, with what I just ate or what I put in the body? So let's go. Yeah. Next slide.
So,
or Travis, go ahead, or Sam, go ahead. Either way.
Oh, yeah. You can go, Sam.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So kind of just what Travis was talking about, like differentiating those pain pathways. The somatic pathway is more linear. It's direct sensory mapping straight to the brain. It's highly organized. It's fast acting, precise. We'll talk about that on the next slide as well. And the localization is a lot more clear. Whereas the visceral pathway, there's a connection between the autonomic nervous system and the emotional centers, like the even like the amygdala, right? The amygdala is our senses fear, and then the body has to react and respond. And so this is going to be spread across multiple spinal levels. It's going to be a little bit less localized or more poorly localized. This is more pain that's going to feel dull or aching or diffuse stress.
Yeah. And that's literally it, right? Because that's kind of what that's what those organs will kind of feel like in, in the visceral area or in the muscular area.
So
go ahead.
So we talk about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic in here all the time, with the sympathetic obviously being that fight or flight. our stress response, and then that parasympathetic is our rest digest. That's where growth and repair should happen. Um, but with the sympathetic system, it has to be quick. It has to be fast acting in order to deal with the stress. It's got to be precise. I just talked about that. The amygdala is that threat detection, and our sympathetic system is um, level or in our spine. It's T1 to L2. So
And a doc, is that just in chiropractic books or is that in every medical book?
that's in every medical textbook.
Right, right.
Which, wait,
So
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that about T1 to L2? Is that the fear-based emotional amygdala pain referring from?
So that is our sympathetic chain ganglion. That's our sympathetic system. That fight or flight is in those spinal levels.
Okay.
Yep.
So the amygdala detects the threat, and then it's going to send the emotional signal to the hypothalamus, which will then translate that emotional signal for physical action. So that's where we can release certain neurotransmitters, catecholamines like adrenaline and cortisol, get more blood flow to fight or to run. So it's going to limit blood flow towards the internal organs for digestion and things like that. Um, but it's going to send more blood flow in those, like I said, those neurotransmitters in order to essentially fight or flight.
Yeah, that's skeletal muscle, right? So in other words, yeah, your body's just going, all right, do I need to digest food right now or do I need to kick something or run from something or climb a tree or poke them in the eyes, whatever it may be, right? And so
Mhm.
the body has to interpret that right away. And like you said, it's immediate. There's no way for it to go, you see a tiger. Is it an old tiger? Is it not hungry? Is it, whatever? No, it's like, oh, crap, tiger. What am I doing? I got to run. I got to outrun Travis. I got to get away from whoever, because I need to survive. Remember, our bodies are built to survive. They're not really built to just kind of hang out, right? It's just like always looking for the fear, the threat. And that's where marketing comes in. And what are we under all day long, right?
Sure.
Stress of what Travis is doing, stress of what, what the government's doing or how much money I got to make or what I got to do. Like that's chronic, right? And so to me, this is where this stress response, we're never really getting into that parasympathetic. Travis, go over parasympathetic, kind of go through
Yeah.
those type of things right now.
So this system is more like a little bit slower, doesn't need to be as fast acting. It's basically when we're in growth and repair. So if we're constantly in that stress response, again, we're not repairing, we're not digesting our food, we're not getting the nutrients and vitamins from that food. And when we're under that chronic stress for a long period of time, our internal organs are the ones responsible for the physiology that happens in our body. And if they're not functioning well, then guess what? We're not going to get into, growth and repair or how well we're healing. So this also promotes relaxation, digestion. This is why when we get adjusted, we kind of feel nice and calm, relaxed. And that's why people, love coming in. And this is where, too, we kind of know when there's something else more going on with somebody, because if it is musculoskeletal, that will pretty much go away pretty quickly. If it's
Yeah.
kind of chronic or sticking around, then it's probably more the internal organs kind of causing the problem. That's where the nutrition kind of comes in and working some of the fascia on the gut too. So kind of
Yeah.
get
And
you back
that's
into that parasympathetic state.
perfect. And that is that like understanding about how you can have physical, chemical, or emotional stressors, right? So the physical ones could be like an activity or a breakdown of or an injury or a shoulder injury. The emotional ones, obviously, a breakup, of this, a loss of a family member, a loss of a pet, something like that. And then the chemical one is the food. And guys, I know we all eat pretty well. Depends on who you stand next to, of course, but we all eat
Mm-hmm.
well. But think about all the other chemical toxins that are in the environment that we're not paying attention to, or we don't even realize we're exposed to. Everyone wants to talk about mold and other things that are in the environment. But wow, think about all the sprays, the chemicals, all these other things that are out there, car exhaust. I mean, so many things that we're being exposed to that the body has to deal with. But this is where getting into that sympathetic, parasympathetic idea, this is where that growth and repair, this is why yoga works, right? This is why meditation works. like all of those, what? Slow the body down and get into more of that parasympathetic system. So excellent job. I really think it's a good slide. But now let's go over some of these connections between that visceral somatic and where we see some of these things go together. Travis, go ahead and let's hit off on this one. Go ahead and start.
Yeah. So the esophagus. So medical textbooks, it's from T2, T6, more like functional based, T2 to T3. We'll see pain kind of upper thoracic region, maybe in like some chest tightness, neck tightness, and just some kind of common conditions that people may have that kind of go with this. That kind of gives us an idea or questions to ask to see like what else is kind of going on and why are you having this pain? Is it muscular or is it something else going on with the digestive system?
Yeah, and those are low acid. By the way, really, did we create the body to have low acid, right? Or over acid, right? You're just doing exactly what it needs to, but there's got to be a dietary thing that's causing that or creating that. Can that be a neurological component? And we talk about where the areas T2 and T3. We just see some of this stuff go away and get better when we start getting joints moving better. I mean, it's almost like I've been doing this now, I don't want to say, for over 20 years. And if it didn't work, I keep doing the same things over and over to people that walk in. I mean, no, I'm going to answer that for you. I wouldn't.
No.
There's no way. I mean, yeah, I would get frustrated with the fact that it's not helping people. But now we've added in the nutrition, and even watching that work more, I can't believe how much success we get. So those are those GERD. And let's just talk about really fast. If somebody walks into the medical office and they see this low acid or they see GERD or hiatal hernias, drugs or surgery, those are the only two nails they have. Got it? That's it. For us, we can talk about diet. We can talk about lifestyle choices. We can talk about movement. We can talk about stress. And there's so many different things that we put the ownership back on the individual. So let's move to the next one. That's great. T2, T3. Next one.
So we got the stomach. So spinal levels are going to be kind of like what Travis was saying, the medical textbook, T5 to T9, but more from the functional spinal level is going to be more T6. Usually for stomach pain or the referred pain pattern, we're going to see kind of into the mid-back between the scaps, up into the left trap, and then kind of up over the epigastric region. And then kind of just like the esophagus, some common conditions are low acid, GERD, gastritis, and then H. pylori.
Wow, H. pylori, right? So you see that along with like C. diff and things like that. Under high stress, you change your gut microbiome. Yeah. And so getting them adjusted, it's not just about a probiotic. It's not just about, making sure that you're, eating leafy greens, but it's also like everything else that goes along with this. High stress means you shut off that digestive system. So yeah, really cool how that kind of goes together. And how many people have neck pain in between the shoulder blades pain, right? We see that on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, Trav, you want to go over that one?
Yeah, I'm just shutting off this phone in the background. There we go.
Okay.
So liver. So spinal region, T5, T9, functional level T5. I mean, we see this a lot when adjusting too. People are tender right through the mid back. They say they're always tender there. They can't get it to go away. This liver and then gallbladder next are two that are, the likely culprits kind of in that case. But yeah, so right shoulder pain, right scap, and like right side thoracic, and can go a little bit lower too. And maybe even on kind of the front too, a little bit, kind of by that right upper quadrant too. And just some kind of common conditions that could kind of go along with that. Fatty liver, detoxing is sluggish, estrogen dominance potentially. Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. So you think about that, right? How many people, I think there's a stat that says about 75 or 78% of the population has a fatty liver. I mean, come on, it's borderline diabetic, blah, 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 all this sugar that we're consuming. And our detox pathways, if those are all sluggish, and remember estrogen dominance, if you can't process your hormones very well in the liver, you're going to have some other issues. So I think this is one of the ones that we talk about all the time, and it's very regenerative. So we want to support the liver. And I think nutrition is so powerful when it comes to the nutrition, or when it comes to the liver and its ability to repair and grow and repair. Because think about it too, guys. If our tissue just broke down and died, we wouldn't be around that long. Mm-hmm. We're having cellular turnover on a regular basis over and over and over. And so if it's not regenerative, that's really going to be an issue for us. But luckily for us, it is regenerative and it does rebound and it is a chance to recover and reestablish tissue. So let's go to the next one.
So gallbladder, we talk about this one all the time. Usually women are going to have more gallbladder issues, and they're more likely to get their gallbladder removed. But for the spinal level, it's going to be more T5 to T9. Functional spinal level is going to be T4. And this is direct referred pain to the right shoulder. A lot of common conditions are more gallstones or cholecystitis. But yeah, like I said, usually we'll see this in what was the acronym in school? Female 40 and something, Trav?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the third one, but it's not coming to mind. But
Yeah. Well, I
Uh,
just think about it too, guys. And remember, gallstones usually can also be created due to because if you're also using that pH to balance pH in the blood. So you're using some of that bile to help balance out that pH in the bloodstream. So high blood pressure is also another kind of indicator that you may have some gallstones and things like that. So being aware of this is all. And by the way, this is not an easy pain. You have gallstones or you have things going on there. It's yeah, debilitating. So taking care of the gallbladder is a huge process. Communication from the brain down to the gallbladder also very important because it's helping store what? What's stored in the gallbladder?
Bile.
bile.
Yep, bile. So bile is used to break down fats when you eat. So if you have a sluggish bile, you're definitely not going to break down your fats as well. And that's where fatty foods, eating out, things like that are going to create more of an issue for that individual. And that's why we see that in here also on a regular basis. Next.
Yeah, so next we got the pancreas, spinal level T5, T9, or more like functional for us chiropractors or functional nutrition T7. So the referred pain pattern here would be more like mid back. It should almost feel like a deep, like boring pain. Maybe even some more on like the left side of the thoracic versus the right instead. And then just some common conditions that kind of go with it: insulin resistance, pancreatic insufficiency, um, blood sugar issues, things like that. So,
Yeah, and you'll hear me talking here a lot about when it comes to the pancreas is enzymatic support of digestion. Remember, we're running from a tiger, we're not digesting food, so you're not going to have the same enzymatic support. And that tissue, you're not trying to recover at that time. This is catabolic. You're breaking down, right? You're not trying to grow and repair at this time at all if you're running from a tiger. So you actually shut down your immune system. You shut down everything until you survive the tiger attack. And then you need that immune system to kick in and help getting rid of whatever bacteria, whatever things that, could have been, elicited by the tiger attack. So enzymes, huge. People under chronic stress, pancreatic cancer, pancreatic issues, all those things. You need those enzymes to clean up the debris to get your body moving in a better direction. You can wait for cellular apoptosis if you want to, but why not start using these enzymes that we're supposed to create on a regular basis to clean up the debris? So yeah, we see this also great a great thing that we can support naturally through supplementation. And then, of course, always a two-way street. So chiropractic is helping with that too.
For the spleen, I know it kind of looks like a kidney, but that is the spleen. Um, Spinal level is going to be T7 to T10, and then the functional spinal level is going to be T8. Referred pain pattern is going to be kind of into the left rib cage, or around to the mid back. And then common conditions, just more immune related stress, or it could be even something like anemia, could go along with the spleen.
I'm going to bring this up really quick. The spleen does not look like the kidney when we did anatomy. You guys remember? Did you guys have cadavers when you guys were going through school?
we did not have real
No,
cadavers. We had like
I
the virtual ones on the.
I had one in undergrad
Undergrad.
cadaver lab, yeah.
Yeah. So they don't look the same. But anyway, it does look similar in the video or in the on the slideshow. But totally agree. And this is the immune system, right? Claire, what do you love about the spleen when you talk about immune? Sorry, I got your rubber band in your mouth there, but what do you love about the spleen that you always talk about with spleen and thymus.
What do I love about it?
Yeah.
That it has a memory of everything we've ever been exposed to in our immune system.
Yeah, you're constantly tagging things, right? You're using the thymus gland to help remember these immune burdens that you've been through throughout your life. And then you store that information so that when you get exposed again, guess what? It's already been there, done that. So it goes, all right, let's go. Everybody wrap this up. Let's get this out of here. And I think that's where, for kids these days, we want them sick. I'm sorry. We want them to work through their infections. We want them to be exposed to things so that they're stronger and healthier when they get older and something else they get exposed to. So I kind of want them sick too.
All
What
right,
up,
so
Trap?
small intestine. So spinal level T8, T12, or more functional T11. This is where we'll see pain kind of around the stomach area or umbilical, mid to low back tightness. Remember, we see a lot of people come in here with low back pain. It's not always something that you did or structural. It could be coming from the gut and digestion as well. Then common conditions, we got SIBO, some malabsorption, leaky gut. C. diff, bad bacteria, a bunch of different things.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And this is where we'll do something like we'll check and see, right? That small intestine is so connected, large intestine too, but that small intestine, large intestine is so connected to the fascia that it also affects into the legs and lower extremities, into the hips,
mhm.
right? So we would test that, right, Travis?
Yes, we would. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do that front door kind of back door test, kind of bring the legs kind of to get or rotate the legs in, see which one is kind of tighter on each side of the hip. It gives us kind of a good idea of what's going on with the client that's in there without them really having to tell us too much.
Yeah, point to a stomach
Yeah.
problem. And I
hmm
apologize. This is the only slide you can't really see the SIBO. I don't know if you guys can on your screen, but it's cut off there. That's SIBO. That's malabsorption, and that's
hmm
leaky gut right there is what that is. So
Yeah.
those are conditions that are chronic, also due to stress response, but definitely impacted through chiropractic. And what did Travis say? You get adjusted. I love when kids get adjusted and you see them melt into the table, and the parents go, wow, so how is it helping? What's it doing? I go, it's exactly the way you feel, except the child can't go, oh my God, I feel so relaxed, right? Oh my God, I feel so good, right? Some of the children that can't speak, they get adjusted. They can't tell you these things, so they don't really notice. However, you do because you feel it getting off the table. So
Can I
anyway,
ask a question? I'm not
yeah.
really clear on the difference here. So when it says the spinal level anywhere from between T8 to T12 could induce this visceral somatic response to the small intestine, what is the difference? What's the functional spinal level that's only
So
Yeah.
T11? What does that mean?
go ahead, Travis.
So I was gonna say, so the spinal level, like typically, like they'll give a more wide range for like what's in a medical kind of textbook, whereas like for nutrition, functional nutrition, or chiropractic, especially, it's like we kind of target it more specifically than kind of that wide range. But remember, with these visceral organs, the nerves kind of spread out across the spinal column, so it's kind of hard to differentiate exactly where it's kind of like meeting the spinal cord or the somatic pathways too. That's
Yeah,
why.
and it's all lower, Claire. So it's that whole lower back. It's all going. And remember, there's a bunch of that small intestines is long. So you're getting a bunch of innervations from all over. If you look at that picture, it's a great illustration. You're getting a bunch of nerves that are going down there. That could be a touching, crossing over. They're woven in between. All of that stuff is kind of going to that to help with that peristalsis, to move food through it, to help with digestion. So all of that can be associated through T8 to T12, but T11 is the segment that we look on the Merck chart that we would say that goes directly to small intestines. Okay.
Okay.
So it's just more specific, but it doesn't really mean that that's it, right? There's too much of an overlap of
Yeah.
communication there.
And that's why, kind of like we said at the beginning too, it's a more like diffuse pain, dull, achy, because it's not pinpoint. It's not like in the exact
Localized.
spot because it crosses so many different spinal
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah. Levels. That's exactly right. And it's not pinpoint. Nice, doc. Next one here.
So large intestine, T10 to L2. Functional spinal level is going to be T12 to L2. Not as specific, a little bit broader as well. But the referred pain pattern is going to be kind of more to the low back or sacral pain, around to the hips, or IT band pain and tightness. And some common conditions we'll see with this are, irritable bowel syndrome or IBS, constipation, or some more gut dysbiosis.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is like kind of the same idea we talked about, right? And
All
so,
those nerves just they cross over and they branch.
yeah. I mean, you look at this, right? Look, it's a great illustration. These are great. These are great pictures for what we're trying to show you guys. Uh-oh, this is a big one.
All right. So the heart, so T1 to T5, functional level T2. So referred pain, upper chest into the neck, down the left arm. So heart attack symptoms, basically. So common conditions, myocardial infarction, angina, myocarditis, pericarditis. So basically, this is one that I kind of like to explain to people when we first bring up kind of visceral somatic pain, because everyone's kind of heard of a heart attack, kind of knows the signs and symptoms. So like when I say talk about the gallbladder or the liver, I'm like, it's basically like that, except it's referring pain to your scalp, except and it's not as life threatening in the moment. But I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's kind of the analogy that I.
No, I mean, it's a great analogy, right? Everybody knows if you're having left chest pain or, arm pain or upper jaw pain on the left side, that they know that's what. Look how close that is. That's right there above the heart. They all get that. But there is more to visceral somatic than just heart pain. And that's what I love about what we do in our practice is we connect those dots for people and give them a chance to understand that there's more to this than just going, oh, or just going more, there's more to it than just a subluxation. There's more understanding that there can be nutrients that the body's not getting in those areas that are weakening that system. And it's just screaming out, telling us, hey, I'm over here, help me out. So, yeah, and the heart's a great way to look at it. I mean, it's a great, it's a lot of people know that. Oh, well, that looks similar to something. No, I'm just kidding.
That is the kidney. So for the kidney, spinal level is going to be T10 L2, or the functional spinal level is going to be more T10. This is where a lot of people who do come in with low back pain, and it's been there for a while, we will look more to the kidneys just because of that area, that deep ache, in the flank region. And some common conditions are kidney stones or nephritis. And there's for a lot of these organs, there's some tests that we can do to, be a little bit more specific. All right, is it more musculoskeletal, structural, or is it more from the organ? And so kidney is one for sure that we will do a few tests for to figure out if it is more nephritis. But no.
Well, yeah, and we do a great job. Claire does a great job. Like Claire, give me some blood work things that we would pay attention to that we would want to look at if we thought there could be kidney issues.
Well, first off, you want to compare the EGFR, like the filtration capacity, to the creatinine. Because if you have a lot of muscle breakdown, you're going to produce a lot of creatinine, and then that's hard on the kidneys to flush all that out. And for somebody eating a high protein diet and being a bodybuilder, that's really hard on the kidneys. But so then if that goes on for a while and you're like, why are my kidneys persistently like in this borderline range? The next thing I would check is cystatin C. And then of course, you want to pay attention to the blood urea nitrogen and not having that be too high. And the kidneys work together with the liver, so you want to pay attention to the, liver enzymes and stuff too. But primarily EGFR, creatinine, cystatin C. Oh, and uric acid is important to watch too.
Yeah, I love understanding that you're not just dealing ever with just a kidney problem. Liver and kidney work very well together. Phase 1, phase 2 detoxification, phase 3 just eliminating, getting all that stuff out. So know that you have a kidney or a cliver or whatever you want to call it, right? So they work together. They're always working together. There's two peas in a pod to help each other or help you detoxification. And Claire, that brought up a great idea. We definitely need to do one of these on blood work and understanding your blood work. Wouldn't that be fun to put together for people? You know,
Yes.
what's
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's do that. We may go over that a little bit and maybe, yeah, or even just taking bits and pieces of the CBC or something like that and just kind of going over what really is going on. So next slide. Oh, there is no more. We hit the finale. That was the finale right there. Sorry for having to run out. We had a little Amazon drop off. I don't know what we were getting, but the guy wandering around the office. So listen, well done. Claire, you have some great questions. I think that, any other kind of concerns or questions you guys may want to go over. I just think it's so much fun to kind of go through this. How do I go back to like the beginning of it? Exit full screen. I don't know. But anyway, anything else that we need to kind of go over? Anybody want to go over anything or any questions, concerns?
I don't think so.
No, I think
No.
good.
Claire, what do you think of that? Was that a good little presentation?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Awesome. All right. Well, then I think that's an idea for our future Zoom calls. Maybe go over some blood work. Travis, Sam, thank you guys for putting this together. Claire, appreciate you paying attention today and being a part of this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. How do I do that? Oh, right up here. Stop sharing. Boom. There we all are. Hey, everybody. When I share my screen, does that have, it just takes the slide away? Do you see who's talking when it shows up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it just goes to that person?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Okay, cool. Because I see all of you guys doing it, running it. So I didn't know what it looks like on your end. Well, excellent. Let me hit stop recording.